Whoa, they like.
What's up, y'all? This is Relly back with another video. Yes, and today we have to talk about Andre Drummond because we have to ask ourselves, should we trade Andre Drummond? And I know that's a weird question, but I noticed after the last video I dropped saying who should we trade or who's most likely to be traded between Kevin Love and Andre Drummond, I kind of noticed how people is split when it comes to trading Andre Drummond. But before we get into that, I need you to smash that subscribe button. And if you are already subscribed to my channel, share it to somebody who ain't subscribed because we are on the grind. And with y'all, I know I can get there. And for starters, we got to talk about what Andre Drummond has been doing so far, which means we can bring back the stats. How I miss talking about the stats. Andre Drummond this season so far has been averaging 19 points, 15 rebounds and 3 assists, and his defense has improved, right? But a lot of people, including myself, question his offense at times because his offense do not really get depicted by his stats. And I'm not trying to say Andre Drummond is a bad player because I would be a fool to say something so blasphemy, right? But anybody that watched the Cavs or Andre Drummond, you would notice Andre Drummond does a lot of things that's questionable when he gets around the rim. And I know he's trying to add a lot of offense to his arsenal. He's trying to be almost like Joel Embiid offensively, but he doesn't have it yet. And it's so notable when he does a lot of these questionable offensive moves to a point where it puts us in position where they understand that on offense, we can be a lick, we can be stagnant, and it just makes things worse. Want to join a community of people who likes to debate and post memes and news about basketball? Well, join my Discord and join the grind season. Let's build a community of passionate NBA fans. The link will be down in the description box below. See you there. Touch on this too before I even talk about the other trade rumors on Andre Drummond is the fact that his rumors saying the Cleveland Cavaliers is going to buy out Andre Drummond. Do that make sense? Absolutely not, right? And the only reason I'm addressing it for real is because a lot of people just had a lot of questions, right? Because for some reason it was just spiking that Andre Drummond would get bought up by the Cleveland Cavaliers so he can go to Brooklyn. But does that make sense for us when the talent that we would be buying out has trade value, right? Like any team that has a player with trade value does not buy out the talent. It doesn't make sense, especially if you have teams that actually want the player and you can make the money work, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't make a situation harder than what it gotta be. So who is these teams that's potentially eyeing Andre Drummond, right? The teams that I have listed that's allegedly looking at Andre Drummond is the Boston Celtics, the Toronto Raptors, the Brooklyn Nets, the Dallas Mavericks, and the San Antonio Spurs. And somebody might ask me which of those teams realistically looks like a candidate to acquire Andre Drummond, right? I sincerely see the Dallas Mavericks and the Raptors being legitimate places where he can go. And I can see the Spurs being the dark horse out of all the teams I said, because realistically, I think those three teams actually have assets to get Andre Drummond. And all three of those teams also truly need the services of Andre Drummond, and more so the Dallas Mavericks. I think the Dallas Mavericks more than ever needs a player like Andre Drummond, especially when they're struggling on who's going to guard the paint as KP tries to return back to his normal self. And this is another great example of why I love when y'all comment down below, because someone actually pitched this idea. What if we trade with the San Antonio Spurs to give them Andre Drummond, and we take back DeMar DeRozan potentially for a 1-for-1 trade, right? And I want to see how y'all feel about that too, because I know a lot of people will be shaky. Honestly, I was shaky because I'm a little shaky about DeMar DeRozan, but DeMar DeRozan is a player we would need. We need a wing player. And honestly, I think he could impact the Cleveland Cavaliers greatly. Yes, you got to understand, both of those players would potentially be one-year rentals, and both players could leave both teams respectfully. But for the year we have them, or the part we have them, he could help the Cleveland Cavaliers legitimately push into that playoff picture. But down in the comments below, let me know how y'all feel about that. And there's also two other teams that I forgot to mention in there that's supposed to be in the market for Andre Drummond. And that's supposed to be the Detroit Pistons and the Atlanta Hawks. I think the Atlanta Hawks makes a lot more sense to be in that market. I don't think Detroit will truly get that done, especially when the asses they're probably going to have to give up defeats the purpose of them getting back Andre Drummond, but who knows? But I truly believe that we should trade Andre Drummond, right? And I can't emphasize that enough, right? I'm not saying we trade Andre Drummond because he's a bad player. Like, I can't emphasize that enough either. But when you look at the current climate of the Cleveland Cavaliers, we do not need the services of Andre Drummond. And on top of that, we don't want to lose Andre Drummond for absolutely nothing. While if we do keep Andre Drummond, we do not want to be put in a situation where we sign him to an absurd amount of money and then we're really stuck with him because of the years. You get what I'm saying? Yes, I know a lot of people say once you sign him to the contract, that makes the player more attractive to the eyes of a lot of these teams in the NBA. But realistically, when you give a center like Andre Drummond that's not on the tier of Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis, Nikola Jokic, that type of money, it makes it that much harder because these teams is going to look at Andre Drummond and say, in the modern NBA, is he a modern big? Which he is not. He is a traditional center. Traditional centers meaning a center that's not really that good at shooting, but he's very, very dominant in the paint, which he is when he chooses that he's going to be dominant, right? And that's the problem for a lot of these teams because they need a center, like I said before, that's modern. They need a Christian Woods. They need a KP. They need a Anthony Davis. They need a Joel Embiid because these are the centers that's going to be the centers they playing in the playoffs. And if you're not a center that can be like that, you're going to be compromised because all they're going to do is force that center to play like one of them when he cannot do that. And I think this is the best time to talk about an unrestricted free agent because a lot of people have been going to my Instagram asking me, hey, Relly, what does it mean to be an unrestricted free agent? And what is the difference between an unrestricted free agent and a restricted free agent, right? In simplest terms, a player that's an unrestricted free agent is a player once he hits free agency does not owe anything to the team, right? He's a player that once he makes his mind of if he's going to stay or not stay, that decision is GG, is over with. That's what he's going to do. A restricted free agent, on the other hand, is a free agent that he's not truly a free agent. If he gets an offer from one team, he has to basically tell that to the team he originally was on, and then they have the option to say, hey, either you're going to stay or you're not, but usually he's going to stay. They're going to say yes to that offer sheet, and he has to come back to the roster. So down in the comments below, let me know if we should trade Andre Drummond, and if so, which team should we trade Andre Drummond to? But also let me know how y'all feel about the trade idea of us trading Andre Drummond to the San Antonio Spurs for DeMar DeRozan. And for more amazing content, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can be a part of the grind. And with that being said, go.
Hey, motivated all about cash flow, ran it up and ran out of excuses. In the field and we turn into hoopers. For the clip like bonds we shoot, just like some soldiers we trooping. Step back three, we hooping. We in your house just like Fortnite.